Ladies and gents, welcome to All Things Covered. Coming from L.A. live. I'm in L.A. My guy Pat P is in Arizona. Of course, waste management is a huge deal. Kicking off the golf season, he's there getting people fired up. But he will be here in L.A. with me by the end of the week, so we will give you guys shows together. But Pat P, it's a big week. Golf is a huge opportunity in golf. The week of golf, of course, waste management. Super Bowl is here in L.A. You see the backdrop. I'm down. I got the boats. I got the sunshine. It's a beautiful life out here. Man. Say it again.
I said, I thought you was on a pier somewhere, man. I see all them sailboats behind you and stuff. Living a good life.
I mean, we over here at the marina, living the good life. Feeling like a retired guy actually right now. I can't complain about anything. There's a lot to talk about when you talk about Minnesota Vikings, of course, NFL Super Bowl. But before we talk about Super Bowl, let's first quarter of our show. For everybody who's been following our show, first quarter, we love to kick off and show tribute and respect to Minnesota. So it's time for our SKOL Check-In. Big time news coming from Minnesota. Remember last week, Pat P, when we did our show, we thought Harbaugh might be the guy that will be the next head coach replacing Coach Zimmer. But no. He interviewed. They didn't give him an opportunity to become the head coach. They decided to go with Kevin O'Connell. Now, Kevin is the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. He will assume that new role with Minnesota when the Super Bowl is over. But, Pat P, how surprised? What was your reaction when you heard Harbaugh wasn't getting the job and the team was going with Kevin O'Connell as the next head coach?
My first reaction was, what happened? What went down? Because all the fingers was pretty much pointing to, Jim landing the job in Minnesota. So, the first thoughts that came to my mind is what happened, with the interviewing process. What did not like, because like we talked about, he's the most qualified coach, that was in position, to be the next head coach. But obviously they end up going in a different direction. Which I think, that's pretty much what every team is doing nowadays. Going young, offensive-minded, guys that have a great relationship with younger players, that can relate to younger players, that can get the best out of them, because the old way is kind of, I won't say it's ran out, but the old way is not it anymore. So these owners, and they try to make sure that they get coaches that can relate to these young players.
And you talked about going with an offensive-minded coach last week. We both agreed we felt like they would go a different direction than when they brought on Mike Zimmer, who is a defensive-minded coach. Why were you so confident that the team would definitely go offensive-minded in regards to who the new head coach would be?
Adam had an opportunity to talk about that meeting that he was in with the ownership. I so happened to be in that meeting as well. And I kind of had a feeling that, that's the route that they wanted to go.
Break down the meeting you're talking about, because, of course, you informed me about that meeting, but share with our viewers the actual meeting that you're referring to in regards about the next head coach.
Yeah, it was just a meeting with, all the captains, all the guys, leadership. And, Mark just wanted to know, like, what avenue, just wanted to get our thoughts on, what could we do to make this, put it all into the basket right now? Like, what are some of the things that you guys think that can help, that you think that can make us a better football team? And, some of the guys, got some of their messages out, what they thought that was going to be good for the football team, what they thought, what type of coaching style that they thought that they need to help us turn the corner, what type of coach that they feel that they need, that we needed to help us turn the corner. And, it looks like they took all of those, those were, those replies, those comebacks to them, and they took it all in and took it and put it into, their thought process when it came to hiring their new head coach. So it was for me, I was taken by surprise when I was invited to that meeting, because I'm like, damn, I just got here. Obviously, I know I'm an older player, but, I'm going to be a free agent.
You had the C on your jersey.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, like, it's still like when you that player, is no guarantees for me next year. So it's like,
Exactly.
why would you be in that meeting? You know what I mean? So it was a surprise for me, but at the same time, I looked at it as, as like respect. Like they know what they have in the building. So they want to. They respect what they have in me, and when I told my wife about it, I was like, that was pretty cool for them to involve me in that meeting, and it was pretty special.
Yeah, and looking at Kevin O'Connell's numbers as a coach, he's 36 years old. Very, very young, vibrant individual. Second season as the Rams offensive coordinator. He has 7 seasons of NFL coaching experience. He actually played the National Football League. He was a third-round draft pick, Pat P. I don't know if you were aware of this,
Yeah.
by the New England Patriots in 2008. He played 1 season. Coaches that he's worked under include Sean McVay, Jay Gruden, Chip Kelly, and Mike Pettin. So he's been around the block, been around some established coaches. And clearly he's done a real good job offensively with the Rams. And if you look at, guys that I mentioned that he's worked under, successful coaches, clearly highlighted by Sean McVay. You know what I mean? So everyone is trying to get the next best thing offensively, and he's coming from that Sean McVay tree. You look at some other hot young coaches that have become head coaches as of late in the National Football League. Matt LaFleur, looking at the job he's done offensively with the Green Bay Packers. He's an offensive-minded head coach. Zach Taylor, currently coaching in the Super Bowl, offensive-minded head coach. So everyone is looking for the next great young offensive-minded guy, and hopefully the Minnesota Vikings has found that next guy. Last question for you before we transition to break, Pat P. Hiring Kevin O'Connell, how do you believe that will impact Kirk Cousins for 2022? Like, remaining with the Vikings, will this improve his potential? What do you think this does for Kirk Cousins?
Honestly, I know you see a lot of trade talk. You see a lot of, things out there, around circulating, Minnesota and trading Kirk Cousins. But if you look at it, to me, Kirk is like a Matthew Stafford. You know how I feel about Matthew Stafford. He's an underrated quarterback. Like he might not go out there and put up 320 yards a game, but he's going to be efficient with his numbers. He's going to get the ball where the ball needs to be. He's not forcing any turnovers. He's going to be very smart with the ball. He's going to put together drives for you. And, he has a strong arm to get the ball, to push the ball down the field. So,
Yeah.
Unless you can get something really special for him, why would you trade him? You know what I mean? Especially coming off the last 2 years that he had. And I think, with Kevin coming over, I think it'd be great for him because you essentially will have the same quarterback, a quarterback that moves well off play action, a quarterback that moves well, off bootlegs, the quarterback that moves well off play actions, that really thrives off the play action. You have a good running back here. Everything is in place for him. So I think, honestly, you see where it goes the first year. I don't know Kirk's contract situation, but you see how it goes the first year. Then you go from there. But in my opinion, I don't think he should be traded unless you can get something spectacular for him.
I'm right there with you. If you can't bring back in an elite-like guy at the quarterback position, ride with Captain Kirk. Kevin O'Connell clearly took this job under the assumption that Kirk Cousins would be his quarterback. So I think he is okay with that, and just make it happen. Offensively, this is a well-rounded, established group. 2 outstanding number 1 wide receivers. Cook, outstanding running back. Hopefully, good tight end Irv Smith Jr., who missed basically the whole year. You know what I mean? Get healthy on the defensive side. You got you a playoff caliber team right now on paper. You know what I mean? Just got to put it on film. So I'm right there with you. And then and I think Minnesota, the Viking fans, clearly, Pat P, they're excited about the hire. They don't have any issues. Probably the majority don't have any issues with this hire. And hopefully he can kind of put together a nice staff that can really develop this team into being a competitor going forward in 2022. Well, you guys know what time it is. It's Super Bowl time, and we're here. I'm here out in L.A. Pat P will be here in L.A. Towards the end of the week, and we're here to talk about this upcoming matchup. And the unique thing about Pat P, he played against both teams, so I know he has a very, very unique perspective in guarding elite offensive players that we will be seeing this Sunday. So right after the break, we'll tap into this outstanding matchup between the Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals. Super Bowl 56 coming your way. Welcome back to All Things Covered, coming to you live on CBS Sports HQ. If this is your first time checking me and Pat P out, you can follow our podcast anywhere where podcasts are found, or check us out on YouTube. Just visit youtube.com/allthingscovered. Pat P is in Arizona. I'm in LA getting ready for this Super Bowl matchup. Pat P had the luxury of playing against both teams throughout the regular season. Let's highlight the home team in this ball game, which is the Cincinnati Bengals. Pat P, you got a lot of different LSU ties with the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's highlight the man in charge, Joe Cool Cigar Smoking Burrow. Right?
Yes,
the first game you guys, that was week 1, right? If I'm not mistaken. You guys played against Cincinnati?
ACL.
Yeah, first game off an ACL injury that he sustained during his rookie campaign. 20 of 27, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns against you guys. And let's keep it real for guys that remember that ball game. It was a questionable fumble by Dalvin Cook that led to that victory for Cincinnati, but they won. But tell us a little bit about the game plan for Joe Burrow based on what you saw leading up to that week 1 matchup and how the experience was playing against him in week 1.
Well, we didn't have – obviously, we know what he was capable of. I can't remember how many weeks he played up until getting injured against Washington in his rookie campaign. But we knew, the accuracy he had. We knew how strong his arm was. And when we obviously game planning for him, when we knew that Jamar Chase was going to be in the lineup, we knew that those guys had a great connection coming from college and leading up until that point to where Joe got injured. Like I said, we knew what he was capable of. So it wasn't nothing that, we wasn't surprised by or we didn't, have opportunity to study for because he put a lot of good stuff on tape already. But going into that game, he looked just like he did, how he left off his rookie season, was very poised in the pocket, making some great throws. And the call of the game, I think it was 4th and 1. It was 4th and 1.
And they threw it.
It was 4th and 1. They hurry up to the offensive line. They let the play clock drain all the way down to about 10 seconds. So they act like they was in a panic. So we couldn't get lined up and see the right personnel. And they ran the old sugar honey iced tea play on us, and that was a hell of a call at that moment because we was up, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, or we was either up or
that was in overtime.
No, that wasn't overtime in that one. That's
the play there. You see, guys.
Matter of fact, I think that was overtime. That was overtime.
That led to the field goal.
Exactly, led to the field goal. So, but that was a gutsy call for them to run that play 4th and 1. But the way they was able to set it up, it was amazing. But it wasn't nothing that we saw in that game that Joe surprised us with. Like I said, the film that he put out there was amazing, and this year continued to prove that.
Yeah, and when you look at young quarterbacks throughout your career, you've played against experienced guys, you played against young guys. How do you know a young quarterback has that it factor?
When he's able to take his team down the field in crunch time, that's the it factor. Like, I'm okay with, like, I can care less what you do through quarter 1 through 3. Like Tom Brady. Tom Brady might not have the best numbers in the game, but guess what? He's clutching crunch time. So if you can win me ball games in crunch time when I really, really need you, that's the it factor.
And looking at the it factor when it comes to winning ball games straight up or when it comes to winning ball games against the spread, he's proven your point to be accurate. 6-0 straight up ATS in the last 6 starts. Look at the completion percentage. Look at the yards per ball game. Unbelievable numbers, and it's no surprise they're currently getting ready to play in the Super Bowl. But with every good quarterback, you got to have a real good wide receiver. And that first ball game was Jamar Chase rookie debut. 7 receptions for 101 yards, 1 touchdown. When I look at Jamar Chase, I love being able to give an NFL comp to younger guys. I see Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith was a guy who was strong at the point of attack. He was a hard tackle. He knew how to create separation. He knew how to attack angles. And he was a sure-handed guy, and he loved living in the end zone. And I see some of the same things coming from Jamar Chase. You saw him at LSU. You know a lot about Jamar Chase. What did you see from Jamar in that first ball game that ultimately led to him being one of the best young wide receivers in 2021?
You know, with that being the first week of the season, you know, I didn't get many opportunities in that game. You know, but having an opportunity to go up against him, very strong, very fast, powerful, like he has the total package. To me, he has a great combination of a Julio Jones, as far as the combination with the speed and the power, and then he has a little bit of Dez Bryant having the opportunity to take it the distance after the catch, breaking tackles, taking a slant for 60 yards. Like, you don't see receivers doing that. So I think he has a great combination of both of those guys, because he has the size of Julio, but has the breakaway tackle ability of a Dez Bryant. So that's why I say that he's a combination of both of those receivers. But you know, having an opportunity to go up against him, you know, his rookie year, that first game in his rookie year, you can tell that, you know, he was going to be a guy that was going to be an emerging star in this league. You know, just like Justin, you know, those guys had great careers in college, and you know, I don't see anything different. As long as you get them with a solid quarterback that can get them the football, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, and talking about Justin Jefferson, of course, Jamar and Justin were wide receivers at college. That LSU offense now, as we continue to watch those guys grow in the National Football League, they might go down right now, no debate, as the best collegiate offense that we've ever seen, based on what they did collegiately on Saturdays. I mean, you know, you had that tug of war. You had that back and forth about, was that the best team? Was that the best? Say it again, ain't no tug of war?
It wasn't no tug of war. No quarterback. Ain't no tug of war. Ain't no quarterback in NCAA history did what Joe Burrow did. Ain't two receivers. What? Joe Burrow is number one in NCAA history as far as completions. He threw for 5,000 yards.
But let me say something to you. I know your LSU bias is showing, and I'm okay with that. But Bryce Young, who just won the Heisman, his numbers wasn't far off from Joe Burrow.
He wasn't far off.
They're not far off. No,
but it wasn't.
That was surprising.
The guy spoken Joe numbers.
Go look at Bryce Young's numbers, and you're going to be like, yo, I'm surprised to see how close Bryce Young was to Joe based on what he did. But listen, you got 2 outstanding wide receivers, all-pro-like wide receivers.
Alabama put up some big numbers throughout the whole year, so I wouldn't be surprised at all. It would just be sneaky. It just wouldn't be – it wasn't as talked about as Joe's was throughout the year, put it that way.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, Bryce was unbelievably special all year, but I feel like he got pub off. You know, I feel like the team got more pub than he did. Like what Joe did, week in and week out, for the LSU football team in 2019. Come on, man, it's hard. I mean, the dude was having. I think he had a game, bro. It was games where he had like 3 or 4 incompletions. Like, that's crazy.
They had the numbers for you. Look at
65 and 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on. He had 65 touchdowns. Is that a career stat?
Oh, that's in a season, man. That's what I'm telling you, man. Ain't nobody had no year like that, boy. Hey, Joe Burrow
what was I looking at? I thought I saw closer numbers. Joe threw 65 touchdowns.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
Ain't nobody have a
those
career.
Are total touchdowns in his. Are those that's career? But that's career though. That's career, right?
No,
that's that season.
That's that season, Mac. I'm telling you, he broke 2 records that year. He broke the completion record, the completion percentage, and the touchdown. The dude. That's why they call
65 total touchdowns.
Joe. Cigar Burrow.
Nickname well earned. I tell you this much real quick before we transition. When I saw LSU play against Texas that Saturday night in I think it was week 2,
man.
when he did. Oh, that was like the opening to the college football world. Like, we got something special. Y'all better start paying attention.
And when I saw it, I was like, yes, sir. Here we go, LSU
that
boys.
Night game. Hey, y'all finally got an update because, y'all had that old iPhone offense for such a long time. Y'all finally got that new updated offense. That old school offense, run left, run right, play action here. I said, LSU got an update. Yeah, y'all had that old iPhone, that iPhone 8 or 9. Now y'all finally got that 12 in the building.
But we were just brewing.
Check this out before we transition to break. You know both guys very, very well. You know Jamar Chase and you know Jalen Ramsey. And one would think Ramsey will see a lot of Jamar Chase this Sunday in Super Bowl 56 here out in L.A. How do you visualize that matchup playing out?
Man, it's gonna be a great matchup. Like it's gonna be plays made on both ends. Like it's gonna be the Super Bowl. Like it's gonna be plays. Like guys gonna be. I never played in the Super Bowl, but I got close to it before. But guys gonna be juiced up like no other. So it's gonna be plays. I expect plays to be made on both ends. I expect. We know Jalen's gonna be all over the field. He's gonna be a nickelback. He's gonna be on the left side. He's gonna be on the right side. He's gonna be in press. He's gonna be in off. So it's going to be very intriguing to see, how they're going to be able to, I guess, unsolve the puzzle, because like I said, He's going to be a little bit all over the field. And also seeing the creativity that the Bengals going to be able to create on offense as well, because obviously with Jamar being one of their big threat guys down the field, are you going to be able to get Higgins in the game? We know Rams are not.
Boyd.
Boyd in the games. We know that the Rams are not that stout in the running game, at least in the regular season. In the playoff, they have been much better. Are you going to be able to get Joe in the game, to be able to get other guys involved in the game plan to get Jamar his looks? So it's I'm very excited about this matchup. I'm excited about this game. I can't wait to see what the outcome's going to be. I feel like both guys are going to have opportunity to make plays, and I can't wait to see what happens. What's up?
I know you already got your team you're rolling with for Sunday in mind, but hold, we gonna wait till the end of the week. We gonna wait till the end of the week before we reveal who we're rolling with. So if you guys been following the show, I hope you have. Pat P's been rolling with the underdog the entire postseason. Pat just gives his pick. I give my pick gambling related. But if you guys been following us and paying attention and watching us, if you've been just listening with Pat's winner week in and week out in the postseason, and if you happen to put some money on it, you guys would be smiling nicely. Yeah. So we're not going to do our revealing of who we're taking just yet, Pat P. So hold on. But right now, we're going to toss the break. And when we come back from break, we're going to highlight the road team that's playing at home, which is the Los Angeles Rams. Welcome back to All Things Covered. Coming to you guys live on CBS Sports HQ. I'm out in LA. Pat P is out in Arizona. If you guys are checking us out for the very first time, you can follow our podcast anywhere where podcasts are found. Also, check us out on YouTube. Just visit youtube.com/allthingscovered. Guys, we just highlighted the Cincinnati Bengals. Pat P gave his perspective about Cincinnati, played against them in the first ball game of the season in 2021. He also had an opportunity to play against the Los Angeles Rams. And defensively, The Vikings did a real good job. They lost that ball game by 7 points. The score was 30-23. But overall, you guys did some dynamic things against Matthew Stafford. He didn't have the ideal Matthew Stafford-like numbers. 197 yards through the air, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Pat P, how were you guys able to create those interceptions against a real established, experienced quarterback in Matthew Stafford?
I think we were able to get to him a lot in that game, as far as the defensive line getting in his face, forcing those ill-advised throws, forcing those untiming throws, not having him able to set his feet on certain throws. So I just think we had an opportunity to rattle him a lot in that game, kind of make those windows tight for him, have him move around in the pocket a lot. Because one thing quarterbacks don't like, they don't like happy feet. They like to be settled and be able to have opportunity to deliver the ball on time. And, that's what we were able to, we did a great job of not making him comfortable in the pocket. Unfortunately, came up short in that ball game. But I thought on the defensive side of the ball, I thought we played outstanding, because we all know what the Rams can do on the offensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm. And one thing in that highlight, you guys were hitting him. He got hit a lot. And if you look at Matthew Stafford's numbers throughout 2021, the good games compared to the bad games, number-wise, he's been hit. He's been tagged a lot, and you guys were able to do that. But leading into the season, you were so high on Matthew Stafford when you found out he was getting traded to the Los Angeles Rams, because you said talent-wise, we know what type of talent he is. But now being able to be around a more stable, structured offense, he would get a chance to show the world what type of player he can be. His postseason stats are 72. He's completing 72% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had 41 passing TDs this year. That ties a Rams single-season record. What have you seen from Matthew Stafford? I mean, the entire season, based on what he's been able to do for the Rams.
Being able to be around talent, you know what I mean? Not having to force feed Calvin Johnson the football, because that just makes a quarterback predictable. Knowing you got 81 out there, you have nobody else out there, that can beat you. So where the ball is going. But like now, he can literally give the ball to anybody on the field. Who's ever suited up on that Rams on the offensive side of the football can get the football. And I think that's what's making him that much more special, because now he have options. He when he feel like, if he need to bail out a throw, he don't have to heave it 60, 50 yards down the field to Calvin Johnson. He can just dunk it down to your running back, to Akers, to Cooper Kupp, who's always in the flats. You got Odell. You got so many more weapons, so much more in your arsenal now, to where you don't have to put everything on your shoulders now. You just get the ball where it needs to be a general at the quarterback position, and just watch everything unfold. And that's what's been happening this year.
Yeah, and you talked about 2 guys. I mean, Cooper Kupp he's been a terror. Won the Triple Crown this year. Talk about how difficult it is to cover a guy like Cooper Kupp, who's usually in the slot, and he runs what we call a lot of option routes. Break down how difficult it is to cover someone who has an option of running either direction based on what he's seen from the defender. How difficult is that, Pat P?
The Rams do a good job of not only putting him in position to be successful, but they do a great job of scheming him open. And when I say about scheming him open, they have him in a lot of stack formations, to where he's going to run pick wheels, pick rub routes. He's going to run option routes. They do a great job of scheming Cooper open. And I think that's what separates him from a lot of the other receivers, is that the Rams, Sean McVay and Kevin, do a great job of getting him the ball in so many different creative ways. And I think that's what makes him so difficult, because you don't know how he's going to get the ball. He can get the ball on the screen. He can get the ball on a jet sweep. He can get the ball on the option route. He can even take the ball. He can even get the ball on the post corner. Like, he can run. He got so much stuff in his arsenal to where, it's almost like he's unguardable. But if you watch enough film, like I do, you'll get enough telltales.
Well, fill us in a little bit. I mean, you had a luxury of playing against Cooper Kupp a lot in the Rams when you were in AZ, and we know you're a master of the game when it comes to studying film. Is there any little cool nuggets you can kind of give us? Because we're fans of the game. We're going to watch the game. You know what I mean? We might see Cooper Kupp line up in a stack alignment and be like, you know what, Pat P told us when Cooper Kupp gets in this formation to kind of watch out for this route or that route. Is there any little insights based on what you've seen? And you played against the Rams that you can kind of help us with for Sunday?
Well, at least with one of them. Anytime that Cooper Kupp was lined up with Odell never ran a 7 route. He always ran. They ran Cooper Kupp on the opposite.
Hold on, Pat P. Coach P, what is a 7 route? Got to, number wise, you got to actually break it down for some people who might not know what a 7.
A 7 route is basically a corner route. So 10 to 15 yard, streaking route, then he breaks off to the corner, wherever the ball is on the field. But anytime that Cooper Kupp lined up with Odell, this is when, in my film breakdown, when we was watching him, he always ran the option, and Odell always ran the in-breaking route, almost 100% of the time. Anytime he came on a jet sweep, go ahead.
I'll say, is that a stack alignment or just on the same side?
That's a stack alignment. They're already in the stack alignment. Odell is on the ball, and Cooper Kupp is off the ball. Anytime, they run this a couple different ways. Anytime they motion, so anytime they play action with Cooper, because they like to do this a lot with Cooper Kupp, they like to bring him down in that snug alignment to where he's like in a dirty line, a dirty split, but right behind the tackle or the tight end. Anytime they give a play action away from him, it's a play action. That means he's going to run like they run like a naked boot, or he's running like that over route. Anytime action is to him, it's a running play because he's their best blocking receiver.
No question.
Those are some of the things that you can look up as well. I don't have my notes in front of me, man. There's so many things that I have written down that I can just blabber off of. But those are just some of the things that I can remember just vividly, just off the top of my head.
Well, Coach Pat P breaking this down, schooling us a little bit, also giving you guys some things to look for when you watch the game Sunday, because the same routes that he just talked about, you better believe they will be ran. Oh, they're running those plays. They always have go-to plays. It's like when you play Madden, right? When you play the video game, you got go-to plays. It don't matter how many times you run that play. When you need to go get something, guess what? You're going to go to the go-to plays. And Pat P know all about that because I used to run a lot of go-to plays on Pat P Madden.
The play in the red zone is definitely that 7 route.
Oh, that 7 cut is coming.
Man, hey, that's coming.
Yeah. You kind of saw that. It was almost a wheel option we saw in the highlight when he ran on Williams to San Francisco. But Cooper Kupp is a guy.
That was like that pick wheel I was talking about.
That pick wheel. Yeah. They do a great job. You said something that was so important regarding the Rams. They do a great job in scheming guys open, just based on scheme alone. You know what I mean? And then when you factor in the athleticism that those guys have, good luck in trying to be successful. So great breakdown from Pat P, a guy who's a student of the game. Hopefully you guys get a chance to kind of, get your Tony Romo on Sunday when you see a certain formation, be like, Pat P told us they're going to run X, Y, and Z. Let's see if it happens. But we get ready to toss to break, and when we come back, we will be discussing one of the most important moments in Super Bowl history next. Welcome back to All Things Covered, coming to you live on CBS Sports HQ. First time checking us out, you can follow our podcast anywhere where podcasts are found. And we also are on YouTube. Just visit youtube.com/allthingscovered. We're in the fourth quarter part of our show. We just did a great job highlighting the upcoming matchup in the Super Bowl 56 to be exact, between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams. But before we get up out of here, it is February. It's time to celebrate special NFL moments, regarding Black History Month here for all of us. And let me throw out a date to you guys and Pat P. January 31st, 1988. Pat P, 1988, how old were you?
I wasn't even thought of.
You weren't born yet?
I was born in 90, Cat.
Oh, you were born in 90. Dang. So in 88, I was 7. Well, I was
Hey, but this,
about
I
to
think
be
we talked
7.
about this last time, but this is that Super Bowl that my grandma talked about.
Yes,
The
sir.
Doug
Your
Williams Super
grandma, my
Bowl.
Aunt Margaret. Aunt Margaret. You mentioned this last time, talking about how fired up she was. But let me guys break it down to you who might not know what I'm talking about. That was the date of Super Bowl 22 between Washington and the Denver Broncos. Why that moment was so big in not just sports history, but in African American history. Doug Williams became the first black quarterback to start a Super Bowl and first to win a Super Bowl. Broncos entered that ball game as 3.5-point favorites. Washington won 42-10. Doug Williams had a big-time ball game. 340 yards, 4 touchdowns. He won Super Bowl MVP. Williams only started 2 games during the 1987 season, but started all 3 playoff games and caught fire. Caught fire. For me, that moment was significant because as a child at being 6, 7 years old, Pat P, I didn't know how huge it was for a black man to start at the quarterback position in the Super Bowl and to also win. It wasn't until I became older that I realized how significant that moment was. For me, I was just watching football, and I was a Giants fan growing up. So seeing Washington win that ball game, it didn't sit well with me because I didn't like anything Washington related because I was a Giants fan. You know what I mean?
Right.
But as time, went on and I understood how monumental that moment was, I was a fan of Doug Williams, and I'm still a fan of Doug Williams because he was a trendsetter. He was a guy that was able to do something that many people thought would never be done. And playing in the Super Bowl at the quarterback position started, and they won, and he won MVP. And you talked about your grandma, how excited she was. Of course, you wasn't born then, but, knowing some things that she saw happen throughout her life watching football. Later in life, you saw 2 black coaches that we highlighted last week in Lovie Smith and Tony Dungy coach their Super Bowl. So seeing, things that we saw in years past and now current day, when you look at a moment like that, granted you weren't born then, how special was that? And, of course, seeing where we're trying to go at the quarterback position now in the National Football League.
Yeah, I think it was big. I think that was a big moment, just for the African American community, just to show, that, blacks can be, a face of a multi-million, company. A black can be just as successful at the quarterback position, as their other counterpartners. So it was great to see. Well, not see it because obviously I didn't see it, but it's great that Doug was able to, kick down the door, for, just not only African American, quarterbacks, but just, for the African American community as well. Because I feel like once he did that, it gave us more hope. It gave us a little extra. That's saying that we can do it. We can be, we can achieve, whatever that we put our mind to. So, just the excitement that my grandma used to get so excited any and every time, she saw, African American quarterback, in the NFL on TV, and she always just relate back to the moment when Doug Williams, won the Super Bowl and how she watched it and this, that, and other. So, that was huge that, Doug was able to not only, because like you noted that he only started 2 games during that season and started all caught fire in the playoff games. Sound like a little Nick Foolish to me, but he got hot at the right time, and those guys came out on top. Yeah, came out on top.
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl, the unthinkable.
No question. I don't know exactly at that time in '87 how many starting quarterbacks were black, but clearly it wasn't a lot. And, once upon a time, that wasn't a thing. It's a little more normal now, and then you look at where we are when it comes to black quarterbacks in the National Football League. Black primary starting quarterbacks in 2021, you had Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Teddy Bridgewater, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, and Kyler Murray. So we're in a better place when you look at the acceptance in black quarterbacks in the National Football League and how they're viewed. Where do you see this position going when it comes to, more African Americans getting an opportunity to play the quarterback position and excel at it?
I think it's getting better because, you're starting to see more, African-American quarterbacks on the college level. And I think that's where it starts, on the college level. And I believe the more and more you see on the college level, the more and more you're going to see on the NFL level. If you can play and you have the talent, you have the arm strength, you have, the IQ of an elite quarterback, I think you'll find a spot in the big leagues, So I just think, but for us, I just think we have to make sure that, we're on our P's and Q's at all times, being able to do something that's going to separate us from that stereotype or being an athletic quarterback that can only use his legs. Do extra on working on your accuracy. Do better on working on your ball delivery. So that cannot be an excuse. So
and remember they said that about Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Yeah, he said he should switch positions and play wide receivers.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Man, well, MVP as a quarterback.
Yes, league MVP, and still considered one of the best to do it in the National Football League. Yeah, but one thing about playing quarterback, I can say this, is like cornerbacks. You got to have thick skin. Yeah. You will be hit with a lot of criticism, regardless of what color you are. If you don't go out there and get the job done, they're going to come down on you. So make sure you're prepared to have thick skin. But it's okay to go out there. What'd you say, Pat P?
Because you're the CEO of the players, so you're the voice of the players for the most part. So you're going to get all of the the riffraff from the media or, from the fans or wherever it may come from. You're going to get the heat of that. But like you said, you have to be able to have a short memory and being able to stay true to yourself, and staying dedicated to the game to see more positive and better outcome.
No doubt. Well, shout out to Doug Williams and shout out to all the trendsetters that are kicking down doors for other people to follow, doing a tremendous job. And shout out to you guys for checking us out here live on CBS Sports HQ. All things covered. We'll be back with you guys on Friday. And get this, my guy Pat P will be here with me live in color. So make sure you guys tune in on Friday. We will have another dynamic show for you guys. And for all you guys that have watched us today and have been following us throughout the entire season, we appreciate you. And we got many big things left for you guys coming up the rest of the week. Super Bowl 56 coming to you live, LA. All things covered. Patrick Peterson, BMac. See you soon.